All right, 2025 is a fresh start. Let's see where this goes. If you've been here before, welcome back. If you're new here, snacks in the fridge, grab a seat, hang out, we're gonna chat. Stakes are very low. We're all pretty much friends here, right? A new year marks a symbolic fresh start. You know, it's a time to take account of what happened last year, what your plans were, like, what you do, what you not do, what you wish you had time for, you know, just take stock in all the things we tell ourselves we're going to do at the start of the year and then, you know, fizzle out in like February, or we stick to it, or something happens because, you know, life is this wonderful adventure and who knows what the next day is going to hold. But it's the start of a fresh year. So like, what are you gonna do this time? What's different? Is there anything different? Is time just a construct and it really doesn't mean anything? It's another day of the week because we made that stuff up a long time ago and really nothing matters. I don't know. I don't have the answers, but I feel like there's something about it. Just seeing a new month on the calendar, a new year, those first couple of weeks where you're still writing 2024 down, even though it's 2025, you know the deal. Right. So obviously, us being musicians, DJs, artists, whatever you do on the creative spectrum, we always have goals that we want to work towards, whether it's the next tune, the next release or project or video or, you know, what have you. Like, you have things you know you want to do because we are driven by making. As I've waxed lyrical in videos like this before, like even the most boring video like this is like this. I don't know if this one's boring, but if it is, put in the comments next to your goals we'll talk about in a second. The worst time, I don't know, making a video or writing a tune is still better than 98% of the rest of my life. Give or take, you know, I don't know, winning the lottery or something. That hasn't happened. So tying into that, like the beginning of the year, the symbolic fresh start, whatever you want to call it, is think about what you want to do over the next 12 months. And by this time, 2026, you know, could you look back and say you know, accomplished any of those things? Like whether it's big, small, you know, like creative or just normal life stuff. Like think about what you want to do. Think about how you want to go about achieving that. Like obviously the long running theme of like this channel, these videos and all the stuff we're always talking about is being intentional. And I feel like this is another thing to like, if you forgot about it, like let's put it back into the mix and see what happens. So, you know, there's ways of setting these goals and sticking to them, you know, constantly moving the needle forwards, even though it teeters back and forth, eventually getting to that destination we want to do, but also not forgetting that like the whole, you know, traveling to where you're going is usually more fun and more satisfying and more fulfilling than the end result. But in the case of achieving goals, like you want to get to that end result, you know what I mean? So in this video, I'm gonna talk about just a couple strategies in the beginning about how to, you know, intentionally work towards these goals we're setting out for ourselves. And then in the second half, I'll talk a bit about, you know, what I'm planning on doing this year, like musically and for this channel and, you know, normal life. Second half is for the homies. First half is for you guys, you know, just passing by. So anyway, let's get into it. So obviously, like, the teacher in me wants to talk about, you know, the actual nitty gritty about achieving goals. Cause it's one thing to say like, oh, I want to do this and I wish to do this, but having zero plan. And it's another to actually plan how you're going to do it, because then you have these guidelines to stick to. You don't have to like guess, you know, it's less thinking and more you're putting in the plan to guide yourself to where you're trying to go. You open up Google Maps and you type in where you're going to go. It tells you, and you know, if you go a slightly different direction, it reroutes. Rerouting. But ultimately you're getting to where you're going. We don't need to Lewis and Clark ourselves to our goals. We actually know where we're going, but you got to do a little bit of work beforehand. And the strategy is SMART goals. So SMART goals, acronym stands for specific, measured, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. Some variation of those letters depending on where you're from. So what I really like about this is it's easy to define the parameters of like achieving the goal and being intentional. So being specific, like what is the actual goal you are trying to achieve? I want to have a release out. Cool. When do you want to have a release out? Do you want it to be an EP? Do you want it to be a single? What part of the year? Be specific, measured. Like how are you like measuring your progress towards this goal? Could it be just like a calendar and you check off every day? All right, I'm going to collect samples. I'm going to put some loops together. I'm going to write a melody in a bass line, add different things. I'm going to arrange it. I personally wouldn't go that like granular in the music writing process, but that's just an example. You know, like this week I'll brainstorm some ideas. Next week I'll make the sketch. Next week, blah, blah, blah. Think of the time you have and how you can work within that. If you only have 15 minutes a day, you're not going to, do it all, but unless you can. Think about it. So the first two, be specific about what you actually want to do. Don't be vague. Don't just yell out until like, I want to be okay. Think about it. A, achievable. Make sure it's something you can actually do in the time you have. So this is a bit of a like, be honest with yourself and where you are. What can you accomplish with the time you have, with the effort you're putting forth at the level you're at? You know what I mean? Like if you get a camera, it isn't an achievable goal to say, like in 2 months, I'm going to shoot a Marvel movie. But if you say like in 2 months, I want to be able to like shoot my own 5-minute short film about being a Marvel superhero in like your Halloween costume, perfectly achievable. Again, like the example, you only have 15 minutes a day or something. Like in a couple weeks, I want to have an idea of a song that's achievable. In a couple weeks, you want to have an album. It's kind of achievable, but then you got to think about like what kind of album's going to happen 15 minutes a day for a couple weeks. It may just be like a short beat tape. Cool. You know what I mean? But is it going to be some magnum opus hour and a half thing? Maybe not. Or maybe the quality will suffer. Those are all variables to think of after, you kind of brainstorm what is achievable. It's all about you and what you can take on or are willing to, put forth. And this brings up a good point of all these things can be changed and altered within the process. If you end up going in a certain direction and it's like, it's not really working out, you can always veer to the left, veer to the right. You know what I mean? And being okay with making those changes makes a huge difference. It's not, I went all this whole way and then I didn't get to where I was trying to go easily. So like now I feel like a failure. It's just like, this didn't happen. Let's go this way. You take a walk into town, your favorite store is closed for some reason. You just go to another store. I don't know. They sell bacon everywhere. The main goal is eating breakfast. You don't care where you get the bacon from. Maybe. You get what I'm saying? Relevant this is pretty simple. Like, just make sure it's something that contributes to the thing you're trying to do or contributes to the overall goal. So like, if you want to get good at making pizzas, don't just make toast. You know what I mean? Make the pizzas. Simple enough. Time bound. Last one. Give yourself a deadline or a window to, achieve this thing. Like, it's one thing to say like, yeah, eventually, but eventually never comes. Like someday isn't a day on the calendar and all that kind of like live, laugh, love stuff. If it's going to take a month, make sure at the end of that month, you stick to it. If it's going to take a year, make sure you're checking in with yourself periodically throughout the year. With all these factors within the SMART goal strategy, God, it's all about systematically achieving the thing you want to do in a way that like, it gives you the guidelines. It's the pirate's code of achieving your goals. Like, it's not the law. It's not the only way to do it. It's just a set of guidelines to get you there. You know what I mean?
The code is more what you call guidelines than actual rules.
So a couple other strategies you can use, I think they're important, is first, discipline takes over when inspiration is nowhere to be found. So I know we all like to wait for like the inspiration to come and I have an idea or I feel so like, invigorated, but some days you don't feel anything. Some days you have zero ideas. And that's when just knowing that you need to do a thing can kick in. Some days you got to eat your vegetables because it's good for you. Okay. Some days I have no ideas, no inspiration, but I know myself enough to know if I open up my DAW and start just messing around with loops, in about 5-10 minutes, I'm going. You know what I mean? Just because I need to kind of kickstart myself so the wheels in my head, the creative wheels, start turning and things happen. And you know what? Sometimes after a little bit past that, nothing happens. Maybe I don't have any like song or idea that like is going to turn into something, but I'm keeping the sword sharp and I'm keeping up on what I want to do. Like, I'm still having a good time and enjoying myself creating in the way I like to. even if the end result is I delete the project and never think about it again. Like, I'm still doing the thing. The process is still fun. And the end result in this case is, let's try it again tomorrow. I did a thing. You know, maybe I get some samples out of it. Maybe I make some cool sounds, but I'm not waiting for inspiration to happen. I'm not waiting for this, you know, that kind of thing to like the clouds part and I know exactly what to do. It's like creating your own inspiration when it's not coming to you is a talent. I think it takes a while. You kind of have to, you really do have to like think about how you are and what makes you tick. Like if I watch somebody else, you know, like on a stream or a video, like make something, I'm immediately like, yeah, I don't know what my problem was. Let's make something. You know what I mean? If I see just a nice, I don't know, aesthetic picture of a studio, I'm like, yeah, what would I make in that? And I'm like, all right, let's do it. You know, you can do the same thing. Another thing, be honest with yourself, okay? Are you just being lazy? Or is there really something going on that's keeping you from doing the thing you want to do? Like life happens, you know? Some days you're just not feeling it. And some days you're just staring at the thing you want to do, thinking about it over and over, but you're still laying on the couch watching that same episode of that same show you've been watching every year. So be honest with yourself and learn to know the difference of when you just need to get up and do the thing, or take a little break and be okay with taking that break. You know, you're not always going to feel like making stuff, so you don't always have to. But if you're just being lazy, be honest with yourself. We're always doing that. Just don't be lazy. Do the work. Get up. All right. If you need a little kick in the pants, this is the perfect time to talk about Discord. So in the BSA Discord, every year we make a new channel about the goals we want to achieve throughout the year. And we all kind of talk about it. And what comes from that is accountability. Just someone checking in, being like, hey, how's things going? What are you doing? Can I help? Or, you know, just a bit of encouragement. Also knowing that someone else is going through the same thing with their own goals. So you can kind of like, you check in on them, they check in on you. So if what I'm talking about here with the goals thing and just having a like community of producers and musicians and artists and everything else trying to work towards their own thing sounds good to you, follow that link, all that good stuff. So the most important like strategy out of all of these things, you got to do it for you. You can't do any of this for anyone else but yourself, because that's where the true like value of it will come from. You have to value what you're doing intrinsically versus extrinsically. Intrinsic means it's all for you. It's for your own fulfillment. It's for your own validation. It's to like, it's for you. Extrinsically is doing it for someone else, for outside validation, for external reasons. Like when you grow up and your mom's like, I need you to clean your room, not because I told you to, because you want to. It's that thing. If you do it because you're told, that's extrinsic. If you do it because you want to and you value a clean room, I don't know if my mom's watching this, I learned. Okay, I'm sorry. That's you doing it intrinsically because it's for you. There's a lot of these scenarios that come with what we do where we have to deal with other people and their values or their rules or, you know, their tastes, everything. If you deal with a label, you'll probably get some feedback from them about how they want what you're doing to suit what they want. You know what I mean? The A&R process. That's an extrinsic purpose to do a thing. But when you're creating, you know, in those early stages, you got to do it because it's what you want. You can't do it because you think someone else will like it or someone else would like this or that, or unless you're specifically creating for not yourself. But if you're creating for you, you got to do it for your own reasons. It'll be much more fulfilling than doing it for anything else but your own satisfaction. So really consider that. It honestly will probably be the biggest help when things go right and especially when things go wrong. I'd rather fail on my own ideas than someone else's. You know, if I stick to my guns and I really believe in what I'm doing and it still doesn't work out, at least I tried. But if I'm just following what somebody else wants or says I should do and things go wrong, then like, why didn't I just listen to myself? And all those kind of thoughts will creep in and I'll want to blame when at the end of it all, like I chose to, you know, follow what someone else wanted and veer away from what I wanted. You know what I mean? And there's crossover. There's like a lot of nuance to that. But when you're just starting again, creating for yourself, thinking about these goals you want to achieve, like You gotta do it for you, not because Mr. Winslow said so. Make Mr. Winslow saying so secondary, but not the main reason, you know? Is that okay? I'm just here to help you out. So I hope like those strategies are useful. Stuff to think about, you know, make some notes, write them down, really think about what you're trying to do throughout the year. Like, it's a lot, but it's easy to do, and I feel like it's worth it if you're really serious about the things you're trying to achieve. Like, I'm going to do these things. I might not write them down because like I'm kind of used to thinking this way and doing all this stuff. I mean, this is all I ever talk about. It's the teacher in me, you know what I mean? So at this point, like, remember, this is conversational, even though I've been yapping for like 10 minutes. But let me know in the comments, like, what is it you're trying to achieve? Like, what are some things you're going to do to get to those goals? And maybe you'll find someone else who also wrote what they're trying to do in the comments, you know, and you can find an accountability partner. You can join the BSA Discord, find someone in there to help you. DM me. Believe me, I'll make a note of it. I'll check in with you. Like, we'll make it happen. Okay. That's my favorite thing to do, is just help people do whatever they want to do. That's why I'm a teacher, you know? But anyway, like, this last little part, like, if you stick around for this, you're a real one. And if you don't, like, you probably still are, but object permanence, if I don't see you, you're not there. Anyway, so I'll chat a little bit about like my goals for the year, you know, what I'm going to do to achieve them and all that. Just a couple points for each. You know, you hear what I'm doing. Maybe it'll be something like what you're doing. Maybe you can help me out. I don't know everything, even if it sounds like I do through my projected tone and my sureness about myself and sometimes. But yeah, so if you look in the Discord, everything I'm about to talk about is on there as well. So yeah, first thing is like keep up on Discord. Like if you've been in there for the last year, it's basically been vacant because so many things happen. I just didn't have time to keep up with it, but we're all still friends. We're all still good. Things are coming back. You know, it's not COVID like era anymore. We're all just inside living on there. So, but that's another thing. So the end of this year or at some point in this year, I'm going to actually start writing an album. It's been a while. It's been something I've like talked about with with myself. I've conceptualized, I've talked about with Hospital. So like first album, it's going to start this year. No idea when it's going to come out. You already know the title. It's called Here Goes Nothing. And I've made a note of with myself, like to start on it musically, because I've started the concept like ages ago and just coming up with ideas, but I'm like actually start just making sketches towards the album. And more or less anything I make from this point on is going to be towards the album in a way, even if it doesn't end up on there. You know how that goes. So that's one thing. Next, build a routine and stay consistent with production and other creative output, i.e. YouTube, Substack, Patreon, stuff like that. And I put a like caveat or addendum now that the UK adjustment period is over. So I've been in the UK for like 4 or 5, however many months since September. It feels normal. I'm back to making videos. I'm back to doing my normal routine with a different view outside of this window, you know? So I'm gonna get back into this, like through creative output and production. I already have like a list of backlogged projects I need to get through, which is another goal, to get through all those. Projects I'm moving forward with the YouTube thing, like it's gonna be better than it ever has been. You know, I've been pretty consistent in the past couple of months. It was just like weekly something, and I want to keep that going. I'm back to like scripting out videos and everything. I'm reading it right now, putting real effort towards everything. Patreon has been back and looking better than ever, because I have the time to deal with it. So if you want to be a part of that, it's always down there in the description. Eventually, everything will kind of migrate its way towards YouTube, but a lot of things are just going to stay exclusively there. Plus the album stuff I'm working on will be exclusively there. Studio sessions, the songs, sketches and stuff will all be on Patreon if you want to check it out before the inevitable album is released in some years. Substack is a thing, just writing a bit more, sending things through email because social media is unreliable. So that's down there. Stick your email in that. Another goal, really important for me, start and finish collabs. I've started so many and just not finished them over the years. Sorry, everybody who's ever worked with me. Yeah. But in my defense, you're all pretty bad too. So we just, time slips, we forget things. That's all it is. But collabs with other producers, vocalists, it always works out. Producers, it's always just like you get tired of sending stems back and forth, or I do. So yeah. Like start a few side projects, like just other musical things that aren't really drum and bass related. I've been making some other like tunes just for fun, like sort of going back to my old days of like housey, techno-y, slower things. But with all like the knowledge I have now for production, because back then, like 5, 6, 7, 10 years ago, big gap. Just wasn't as competent and technical of a producer as I am now. So it's fun kind of going back to those sounds and like, I'm so much better, more vocal and instrumental recordings and tunes. I say this every year and I'm slowly doing that, but like this voice doesn't just need to be for YouTube. You know what I mean? Like I can put it in my tunes as an instrument. I'm not saying be an MC or a singer or whatever, but just like use everything as an instrument. I play all these instruments. Let's put it into songs, that kind of thing. And lastly, like connect with the local scenes here in Glasgow and nearby in Edinburgh. Just doing that more, being a face people recognize and like, hey, I'm here and I want to be involved, and doing the work to be involved, helping out however I can. That's basically my goals for the year. And like, these are pretty simple to stick to. Like I have the plans. It's more or less doing what I do every year, so that'll be fun. Yeah. Were you interested? Could you help me out with any of these? I hope so. All right. That was a lot of yapping, but like we just had to get it out of the way. So it's like I said before, or at the beginning of the video, way back when. I've been talking for a while. But it's like, it's a new year. It's time to think about what you are trying to do. Everything you swore you would have done last year, but it just didn't work out for whatever reason. Remember, are you being lazy, or are you just like, do you actually need to like take time? Know the difference. But yeah, this year could be different. Maybe it will be, maybe it won't. But if we want to see, we got to do the thing. We just have to do the work, and knowing how we're going to do the work is really important. I don't know why I took a pause there, but it is what it is. So think about these things. I really do like invite you to leave your goals, your aspirations, all these things. Pour out your heart in the comments so we can all, say, yeah, man, I get it. I want to do the same thing. And we can like hold each other accountable throughout the year. Okay. I told you my goals. If in every video from now on you pop up and like, Winslow, you've been doing it. You've been doing the thing you said you were going to do. Hold me accountable. I'd appreciate it. Again, you take an extra step, join the Discord through Patreon, and find out a bunch of other like-minded people who are also working towards similar things. And they can help you. You can help them. It's all about community and keeping us all going, because you just can't really do it alone. If you want to go far, go together. If you want to go fast, go alone. It's dangerous. Take this. That kind of thing. So anyway, I've been myself, Winslow. You've been you, a wonderful you. Clean up after yourself when you leave. No snack wrappers on the floor, or else you won't get any more. Shout out, Mom. Yeah, I'll see you in the next video next week. Staying consistent. Peace.